You hear it all the time from people. They don't make them as they used to. No one makes TV nowadays as they used to. And in some respects, they're kind of right. In the grand history of entertainment, we've both pushed the boundaries of what could be done when it comes to the entertainment world. Some of these are so revolutionary that many would argue would never see these again. But what I'm really talking about are teenagers saying that they don't make television as they used to. And to that I have to say, really? 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 People forget that there was a dark time when we just expected TV to just suck. We were going to get something that was really stupid and most likely we were not going to enjoy. Instead of having shows like, say, The Loud House, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Andy Mack, and occasionally a Teen Titans Go, for a while every show we got was Teen Titans Go. That's right, good TV shows were an exception. They rarely happen. And yeah, there were some shows that were just underwhelming. Not the worst, but didn't make much of an impression on people. But hey, that still counts as not a good show. I remember this dark case very well. I can pinpoint the exact years it happened. 2009 to 2012. Now I'm talking about children's television. Critically acclaimed shows for adults came out during that time, and yes, there are a long list of bad children's television back then and even now. But honest to God, there was just a period where TV was just down the gutter. Now to understand why this is, it's best to look at the shows that came prior and after. Now before 2009, some changes were happening in children's television, and one of the biggest things being Hannah Montana. Now before Hannah Montana came out, there rarely was any show that focused on a singer slash superstar and focused on the law of music. So something like Hannah Montana was kind of revolutionary at the time and something that people don't give enough credit to. Granted, the show wasn't great, but it wasn't that annoying or cringy compared to the Disney Channel shows later on. It was okay, but nonetheless Hannah Montana was a huge success for Disney and having a 5-year run on the channel. But like anything that becomes popular, you're bound to get a ton of copycats. And because of that, it led to both Disney and Nickelodeon focusing less on cartoons and more on live action shows, leading us to a bunch of forgettable cash grabs like Jonah's LA, Big Time Rush, Victoria, Shake It Up, How to Rock. And guess what? All of them focused on nil to no story, had the most cookie cutter stereotypes, and the star of the show was always the music. And let's be honest, the music was pretty forgettable, and at times downright cringy. They really were pandering so hard to the demographic. And when it comes to the other live action shows the channels had at the time, most of them were not good at all, and a complete downgrade from the shows that came before. Everyone remembers all that, Kenan and Kel, The Amanda Show, The Famous Jet Jackson, Lizzie McGuire, That's a Raven, Drake and Josh, Ned's Classified School Survival Guy, Zack and Cody, Zoe 101, and then there's someone who remembers The Troop, Zeke and Luther, Sonny with a Chance, its crappy spin-off So Random, Bucket and Skinner, Jesse, Ant Farm, Austin and Ally, and Fred the Show. I forgot to mention that this was at the time when Nickelodeon exploited the popularity of Fred by giving him 3 awful movies, a TV show, and now an even worse spin-off. Also, let me just say this. Why in the name of God did Kind Network put live action on the network? Seriously, it's called Cartoon Network. The fact that these shows were on Kind Network, it's just baffling. And also, none of these shows were good, which makes it just even worse. I mean, Destroy, Build, Destroy, Dude, what would happen? Survive this. The other side, as Bobby says, Brainless, Holding the Wall, the crappy Hall of Game Awards, Level Up, Incredible Crew. These were just bad shows. They were just terrible and had no business being on the channel. Kind Network, if you're going to put live action on the channel, At least have it something relate to the network's name. Either you have a show that have a mix of live action and animation, which they did, but it was so darn awful that it got canned, or have a live action show based off of a Cartoon Network show. I mean, yeah, if you do those, at least it would have some reason to have live action there. But these were just a bunch of reality shows that had no business being on the channel. And these reality shows were just kidified versions of already existing shows. So the live action stuff during this time was abysmal. How about the cartoons? They were better, right? Well, not really. During this time, cartoons were starting to get into the CGI flash craze since it was a new thing for television. But years later, they have not held up. And with little to no story and unconvincing animation, there's really no reason to go back to these shows without giggling about how dated they are. Also, there was an emphasis to tone down the everyman protagonist into a wacky, crazy character, or characters. Nothing wrong with that, except that the characters were just a bunch of they were so annoying, and they shout out a bunch of lame, cringy jokes. The shows relied on a lot of mean-spiritedness. This led us to a bunch of crap like Fanboy and Chum Chum, Kick Buttowski, post-season 3 Johnny Test, Hero 108, Mad, Fish Hooks, SpongeBob season 6 to 8, Planet Sheen, Tough Puppy, The Twisted Whiskers Show, Problem Solvers, Secret Man 4 Awesome, The Annoying Orange, and so much more. Remember Regular Show?
It was a good show!
It was funny, creative, and had likable characters. But when that show came out, everyone was claiming it as the second coming. It was like, holy god, the kids of it can be funny and relatable? What the heck? Now don't get me wrong, it's a good show, but back then, good meant amazing. Anything that was good, creative, and new was considered the holy grail. And yeah, once in a while you can get a good show, like Adventure Time, Regular Show, The Amazing World of Gumball, and Phineas and Ferb, but they were pretty far and few between. Everything was a repeat of a formula we were way too familiar with, and they sucked so hard. So you might be wondering, what changed to make television get back on track? Well, one was the internet. Whereas before, you were getting feedback from focus groups and critics who do offer good criticism, but many would argue don't always represent the everyman. Suddenly we were getting feedback from people on the internet. Everyone could post in a forum in why a show was good or bad, and with good effect too. And because of this, networks decided to take notice and did something different, the opposite. Shows like Gravity Falls and Steven Universe offered new ideas that weren't in kids shows prior. Shows like Star vs. the Forces of Evil and Wonder Over Yonder started out as wacky shows, but later delved deeper into their characters and had a bigger emphasis on continuity, whilst keeping them light-hearted and wacky. Shows like Andy Mack of Raven's Home showed that not all live-action shows on Disney suck. Granted, things aren't perfect now, but I'll give you something. I'm glad you're getting this compared to this. And that's all there is. There isn't any more. Goodbye.